In a few moments we shall welcome the Royal Highness to the hall with a fanfare by the orchestra. Now we ask that you stand at this point when the fanfare begins, and that also applies to the choir. Would you please stand when the orchestra starts its fanfare, and then remain standing after the fanfare. We'll play the first 6 bars of the Royal Anthem. At the end of the Royal Anthem, would you then please sit, and that applies to everybody on stage as well, orchestra and the choir. Would you sit at the end of the anthem? So you stand at the beginning of the fanfare, sit at the end of the anthem. Thank you very much. Now, at the interval, at the end of the concert, before the graduation ceremony, we ask that you remain in your places until the Duchess has left the hall. It's going to be a wonderful evening. I'm sure we'll enjoy it. Your Royal Highness, Mr. Justice McCrossan, Professor Webb, Mr. Hanger, Professor Camden, Honourable Ministers, distinguished guests from government and the university, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. And of course a very special welcome to our guest of honour, the patron of the Queensland Conservatorium of Music, Griffith University, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent. We're honoured and delighted to have you with us, ma'am. We began with a fanfare for heroes, which was composed by Sir Arthur Bliss, who was appointed Master of the Queen's Music in 1953, the year of the Queen's coronation. There was another coronation in Westminster Abbey on the 11th of October 1727 for King George II and Queen Caroline. Musically, not everything went according to plan. The second of Handel's 4 anthems that he composed for the coronation was supposed to be sung following the anointing prayer. In fact, they sang it right through the anointing itself. And they put the whole of the program out of order. In fact, as the Archbishop of Canterbury of the time, William Wake, wrote, the anthems were in confusion, all irregular in the music. Tonight, nothing in confusion, nothing irregular. As we listen to Zadok the Priest with the Brisbane Chorale and Conservatorium Symphony Orchestra. Would you please welcome our conductor, Dr. John Nixon.
God.
At the beginning of the last act of La Bohème by Puccini, Rodolfo the poet and Marcello the painter are in their garret in Paris, trying to work, but instead they start talking. Rodolfo says that he has seen Marcello's lover Musetta riding down the street in a carriage and dressed like a queen. Marcello says, oh, that's fine, but inwardly he's torn by jealousy. Then Rodolfo remembers his own torment. He sings about his Mimi, who he thinks will never return. Marcello says that whatever he tries to paint, all he sees is the face of his Musetta. So here we have two young men longing for their lost loves. Would you please welcome Adrian McIntyre as Rodolfo, Jason Smith as Marcello, and conductor Alan Cumberland.
E il cor non batte, oh non lo sento, grazie al velluto che il copre. C'è gusto da per, c'è gusto da per. Loyola va, gironi e ridi. Non batte? No. Bene. L'hai vista? Oh, guarda! Era in carrozza vestita come una regina e viva ne son contento. Bugiardo si strugge d'amor. Lavoriam, lavoriam. Che penna infame! Infame pennello! Ne scegli
Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce one of the Conservatorium's most talented young violinists. He's also the concertmaster of the Conservatorium Symphony Orchestra, Roger Young. Conductor Alan Cumberland has just come back from England in the last few weeks. He's been over there doing a tour with his Queensland Percussion Virtuosi, which in fact is the percussion department of the Conservatorium. And they performed many concerts in many places in England, including one in London in Queensland House, which I understand was attended, and I'm told on good authority, very much enjoyed by Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Kent. Now, Spain held a fascination for many French and Russian composers, including Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. This is his brightly colored musical mosaic on Spanish themes. It's called Capriccio Español, again conducted by, and would you welcome, Alan Cumberland. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The ceremony is just a couple of minutes away. A little information I'd like to give you while we're waiting. In addition to being patron of the Queensland Conservatorium, Her Royal Highness is also patron of the Royal Manchester School of Music. She's a member of the Bach Choir in London, and also her husband, the Duke of Kent, is a great lover of opera. So it's a very musical household, or palacehold, if there's such a thing. Alan Cumberland, who was conducting the orchestra, was formerly principal timpanist of the London Philharmonic Orchestra, which gave the first concert when this hall was opened. John Nixon, who conducted the Brisbane Chorale, also conducts the Conservatorium Chamber Singers, and they'll be entertaining us in the reception after the ceremony. And he also conducts the youth choir of the Conservatorium Music School. The Queensland Conservatorium is in fact the largest in Australia, with an enrolment this year of 587 full-time students. 66 of these are full fee-paying students from overseas, mainly from Korea, Taiwan and Japan. And they're very important to us. In addition to almost 600 full-time students, we have about 200 students. These are external part-time students in our continuing music education program. So it's a very busy place with about 800 students of varying ages. Now, soon the graduation ceremony will begin. Graduates will enter first, then will follow the staff procession, and after a short break, I'd ask you to stand again and please remain standing until the dais party is seated. So please remain seated for the graduates and the staff, and if you would please stand upon hearing the fanfare for the dais party and remain standing until they are seated. Our organist, who's up there in the loft, I hope, is Christopher Wrench, and he'll play some Bach and also a piece composed especially by Colin Brumby for the ceremony tonight. So ceremony will begin just a few seconds.
Your Royal Highness, Deputy Chancellor, Ms. Patience Toms, members of the University Council, Chairperson of the Advisory Council of the Queensland Conservatorium of Music, Griffith University, Mr. Ian Hanger QC, and members of the Advisory Council, Vice-Chancellor Professor Webb, the Honourable Kenneth Vaughan, Minister for Employment, Training and Industrial Relations, representing the Government of Queensland, the Honourable Mr. Justice Thomas, Mr. Barry Jones, British Consul General, Sir Theodore Bray, ex-Chancellor of the University, Professor Anthony Camden, Conservatorium Provost and Director, many other distinguished guests and graduates. It's customary for Griffith University and its guests to gather for the purpose of conferring academic awards on its graduates. Each such occasion holds special significance for the graduates and their teachers, family and friends. On behalf of the University, I extend a welcome to all of you. The University, now entering its 21st year, honours the name of Sir Samuel Walker Griffith. Sir Samuel, a migrant from Wales, became Premier of Queensland, Chief Justice of Queensland, and the first Chief Justice of Australia. A century ago, in every way a prominent figure, he played an important role in the drafting of the Australian Constitution. It's appropriate that the University, which has taken lustre from an association with his name, should now be standing firmly on its own feet. In the past 5 years, the University has trebled its student enrolment to a figure now of some 15,000, spread over 6 separate campuses. The Queensland Conservatorium of Music has become a college of the University. The Centre of Excellence in Musical Education, which is represented by this, is renowned both nationally and internationally, and its inclusion within the university has enormously enhanced the university's profile in the arts. Tonight we acknowledge the achievement of our graduates. They've taken their qualifications within the Conservatorium, and this is the university's first graduation ceremony for the conferring of awards in music. It's the more noteworthy because of the presence of Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent, who, as patron of the Conservatorium before its recent amalgamation with the University, has graciously consented to continue in that role. We thank you, Your Royal Highness, for your attendance here and welcome you most warmly. We trust that your visit to us tonight and in the course of your tour to other places in Queensland will be pleasurable and memorable. Tonight's graduates will always be part of the Griffith University community, and we shall feel that we share in their future successes. We express our confidence in them and extend warm congratulations. I call upon the Provost and Director of the Queensland Conservatorium of Music to present the Director's report.
Your Royal Highness, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Royal Highness, we are honoured and privileged that you are our patron. We are also proud that you managed to come to Australia at this time to participate in this, our first graduation ceremony as a college of Griffith University. Planning our amalgamation has taken many years. We feel very fortunate that Griffith University has such a positive view towards the arts and that it is a young university without inflexible traditions. And it is a university up to date with the latter part of the 20th century. We are indeed fortunate that our university understands so well that the Conservatorium wishes to remain as a conservatorium and not become a traditional university music department. As I'm sure you are aware, there are universities, like Sydney for instance, which have both a music department and a conservatorium. The university is very sensitive to our ideals, the pursuit of excellence in all forms of musical performance. They are sensitive to the very nature of what a different person a performing music student is to any other kind of student. Worldwide, it is accepted that a successful performing musician needs to spend up to 7 hours a day alone in a room with an instrument. We all accept that those students who can cope with this life have endless possibilities open to them. Now, 1991 has been a bumper year for gold medal winners in international competitions. Conservatorium graduates have won 3 of these. Singer of the Year, Lisa Gastine. Prague International Competition, Diana Doherty, who I might add is an oboist. Metropolitan Opera Award, Claire Gormley. And just this morning we heard that another graduate, Joanna Cole, last night in Sydney, won the 2nd annual $20,000 Remy Martin Australian Opera Award. Out of the 5 finalists last night, our conservatorium won 3 places. Other students have been highly placed in international competitions, both in Australia and Europe. Now, 1991 saw 2 of our student groups achieve recognition overseas. The Conservatorium singers under Dr. Nixon represented the state government at functions in Japan last October. They will sing for their supper at the reception this evening. Our percussion ensemble under Alan Cumberland spent 6 weeks in the United Kingdom playing at the Barbican in the City of London, as well as many other venues. And as Howard Ainsworth mentioned, our patron was at Queensland House to hear them play. 1991 also saw many distinguished international and national musicians working in the Conservatorium with our students. We'll never forget Grace Bunbury's appearance, and John Shaw's, Marilyn Richardson, Loris Elms, Piers Lane, Lev Blashenko from Moscow, and Joe Ward from Manchester. Now, Your Royal Highness, as you are also President of the Royal Northern College of Music, we feel slightly guilty for enticing Joe Ward away from Manchester. He will be here from June to October this year, and hopefully full-time next year. During 1991, we signed an exchange agreement with the Shanghai Conservatoire. The Premier and Mrs. Goss were at the ceremony, and we were all astonished in particular by a 13-year-old violinist, Wei Wei Li. We're delighted that she will be here to play concertos and recitals as part of our 92 program. Other exchange agreements were ratified during 1991 with the Royal Academy of Music in London, the Munich Hochschule, and the Academy of Performing Arts in Hong Kong. And in fact, a student of ours took leading roles in a production of La Bohème in Hong Kong as part of this exchange. 1991 was Mozart's year, and in fact, for 2 years before, the world was revving up for this birthday. This year, 1992, in the Conservatorium, we will be celebrating the life and work of Schubert. Born 195 years ago, he died 164 years ago. He was born just 6 years after Mozart died. He lived only for 32 years, and as all of you I'm sure know, Mozart only lived for 36 years. Next Friday is the opening concert of our Commonwealth Bank series, which is devoted to Schubert's music. The Trout Quintet in the second half, and Greg Massingham will sing 6 of Schubert's fishing songs, including Die Forelle, the trout, in the first half. Next September, we shall hold a Schubertiad, which is rather like a marathon, which will be a good opportunity for staff and students to become more acquainted with this great music. Other plans for 1992, well, last week we had James Galway, who gave a 4.5-hour masterclass. Next week, we have Evelyn Glennie, the brilliant musician who has overcome her deafness to become the leading percussionist of her time. In March, we have Igor Oistrach, Sir Neville Mariner. In July, Piers Lane, Bela Siki, the Australian String Quartet, the Sydney Symphony Orchestra Wind Quintet, the New Mexico Brass Ensemble, and many others. there will be altogether over 130 concerts and masterclasses in our Basil Jones Auditorium. However, sooner or later, Your Royal Highness, we will have to leave the present building which you visited this afternoon and find new premises. And I don't mean this present building, I mean the Basil Jones Auditorium down at the end of George Street. At present, we are occupying 3 different buildings in Brisbane. The one in George Street, another one in Margaret Street, and another one in Alice Street. Imagine how much easier life would be if we could be housed in a big 17th century style building. Now, the final fanfare you heard at the end of the concert on brass was composed by Gabrielli. He composed the fanfare in the 1600s, the same time that conservatoriums were being founded in Italy and the time that the great Italian architect Palladio was alive. The old Treasury building in Brisbane was designed by the Australian architect J.J. Clark in the Italian Renaissance style and very similar to Palladio's style. It's a wonderful building and is the type of building which houses conservatoria worldwide. Your Royal Highness, it would certainly be a musical treat to hear Gabrielli and Vivaldi resounding from the Treasury building. We shall certainly be submitting a strong proposal to the government if and when we are invited to do. For the time being, we must wait and hope. I would now like, personally, to wish all the graduates a very successful career. Please keep in touch with us. Visit us whenever you are here. I hope you have all enjoyed your time here as much as we have enjoyed having you. Good luck for the future. Thank you very much.
I now call on the Provost and Director of the Conservatorium of Music to present the graduates from the Conservatorium who have chosen to receive their awards at this ceremony. I also invite Her Royal Highness to join me in greeting and congratulating the graduates and to present their awards to them.
Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Associate Diploma of Music, Jazz. John Bakos. Matthew Cause. Christopher Dawson. Andrew Hunt. Kerry Jacobson. Cherry McCoy. Kenneth Nelson. Davin Patterson. Barry Scrimshaw. Walter Stapp. Debbie Turner. Mark Wire. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Diploma of Music, Instrumental. Marion Biggs. Julian Booth. Warren Connors. Anna Folk. Darren Halcombe. Martin Jones. Andrea Kirk. Trevor Mee. John Sutko. Andrew Taylor. Philip Usher. And Roger Young. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Diploma of Music, Music Technology. Matthew Darlitz. Chris George. David Grayson. Stephen Head. Gavin Sade. All right. And Catherine Williams. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Diploma of Music, Vocal. Lyndall Edwards. Jeffrey Hughes. Christopher Josie. Jeffrey Naden. Judith Pritchard. and Tina Wells. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts in Music. Nicholas Campbell. Scott Campbell. Aaron Korn. Joanne Cunningham. Genevieve Dalzell. Tamara Dyatlov. Michael Doherty. Campbell Elton. Anne Fulton. Roger Graham Wilson. Jendi Hayden. Janet Locke. Sharon Manda. Colleen Pedrazzini. Stephen Porter. Christine Roberts. Margaret Robson. Stephen Stanky. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts in Music with distinction. Michelle Harris. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Music Composition. David Pickvans. Victoria Schmall. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Music Instrumental. Lisa Behrens. Vicky Bourne. Cheng Tse Chen. Karelia Jajenko. Malcolm Elvery. Alison Fletcher. David Quinn. Catriona Turnbull. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who've been granted the Bachelor of Music with Distinction, Instrumental. Matthew Jones. And Timo Jarvela. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of Music with Distinction Vocal, Jason Smith. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Music in Composition, Noël Toussaint. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Graduate Diploma of Music in Instrumental Performance, Philippa Enright. Yusi Liu. Nicola Manson. Sophie Ma. Louis Pedel. Mieko Takioka. Mark Watkins. Dan Wu. Jackie Zhang. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Music in Musicology, Tim Woodcock. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, I present graduates who've been granted the Graduate Diploma of Music in Vocal Performance. Mei Ying Lin. Adrian McInerney. Chan Woo Park. Christopher Stobie. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, all the graduates of Associate Diploma, Diploma, Bachelor's and Graduate Diploma programs of the Queensland Conservatorium of Music who are present today have had their awards conferred upon them. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, the Conservatorium Medal is awarded for overall excellence in music or music performance. Only graduates awarded a degree with distinction are considered for this honour, and the approval of at least 90% of the members present at the Examinations Board of Review is required. The medal is not awarded if there are no candidates of sufficient merit. Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, the recipient of the 1991 Conservatorium Medal for Excellence is Jason Nigel Smith. Jason, if you could just step back on the platform just for one moment. Thank you. Jason's chief practical study at the Conservatorium has been singing as a baritone under the guidance of Associate Professor Janet Del Pratt. During his years at the Conservatorium, Jason has won many major scholarships and has played leading roles in all of the Conservatorium operas. Jason performs regularly as a soloist in Brisbane with groups such as the Queensland Bach Society and the Queensland Symphony and Philharmonic Orchestras, and he is a regular performer in the Brisbane City Council Young Performer Concerts. In 1989, Jason was selected to participate in a student exchange with the Hochschule für Musik in Munich, and while in Germany undertook a number of leading singing roles. Jason is the only graduate in the 1991 cohort who has been awarded the Bachelor of Music Vocal with Distinction. He is being awarded the medal in recognition of this fact, as well as his outstanding achievements as a performer.
With the authority of the Council, I shall now confer the degree of Doctor of the University on Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent. I call upon the Vice-Chancellor to present Her Royal Highness.
Chancellor, the Council of the University has resolved to award the degree of Doctor of the University to Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent. Mr. Chancellor, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent was born Catherine Lucy Mary Worsley, the youngest child and the only daughter of the late Sir William Worsley. As a child, the Duchess was educated at schools in Yorkshire and Norfolk. She later studied French at an Oxford language school, where, during and after that period, she continued her studies in piano, organ and composition, thus continuing and developing her lifelong appreciation of the arts. After working in a children's home in York, the Duchess spent a period as a kindergarten teacher in Kensington. Her early career was to foreshadow a selfless dedication to the helping professions. In March 1961, her engagement to the Duke of Kent was announced, and on the 8th of June 1961, they were married in York Minster. The Duke and Duchess have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. The Duchess is deeply committed to a number of patronages and is actively connected with approximately 70 organisations. As patron of the National Society for Cancer Relief, Age Concern, the Samaritans and the Arthritis and Rheumatism Council, Her Royal Highness is particularly concerned with issues facing the aged and the sick. In her work with these organisations, the Duchess is noted for her compassionate interest in the problems of the afflicted, her keen medical knowledge and her extraordinary communication skills. Her Royal Highness is also Honorary Colonel of the Yorkshire Volunteers, Territorial and Army Volunteer Reserve, Colonel-in-Chief of the 4th, 7th Royal Dragoon Guards and of the Army Catering Corps, and Air Chief Commandant of the Royal Australian Air Force Nursing Service. In 1977, the Duchess was created a Dame Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order and awarded the Honorary Freedom of the City of York in 1989. The Duchess is passionately interested in music and the arts. Her Royal Highness is an accomplished pianist and sings regularly as a member of the Bach Choir. Musical patronages are naturally prominent in her official round. She is patron of the Leeds International Pianoforte Competition, the Yehudi Menuhin School in Surrey, and President of the Royal Northern College of Music, as well as being Chancellor of the University of Leeds. Griffith University is greatly honoured to have Her Royal Highness as patron of the Queensland Conservatorium of Music. The last decade has seen the Duchess develop a close and warm affiliation with the people of Queensland. Her participation in the official opening of this magnificent performing arts complex in April 1985 was just one of the special contributions she has made to advancing music and the arts in this state. Her cultural ties to Queensland were further strengthened in June 1988 with her official visit to Expo to celebrate Queensland Day. It is hoped that tonight's graduation ceremony will add to the atmosphere of respect and friendship which has developed over recent years. It is fitting that the Council of Griffith University should honour the Duchess of Kent in recognition of her distinguished services to our community. Mr. Chancellor, it is with great pleasure that I present to you Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent, Dame Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, for admission to the degree of Doctor of the University. Chancellor, I now call upon Her Royal Highness to address the gathering.
Chancellor, Lord Mayor, Professor Webb, Professor Camden, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I shall not need to convince you how honoured I am to become an honorary doctor of Griffith University. This is for me an occasion not to be forgotten, and the more so because I have always been so proud of my connections with the Queensland Conservatorium of Music, especially since its provost and director is a virtuoso of the highest distinction, respected and admired among musicians everywhere. I have enjoyed hearing from him about the remarkable progress which the Conservatorium has made, and I thank him and all of you for inviting me to remain as patron now that the Queensland Conservatorium has become part of Griffith University. It touches me very much that I shall remain here. I hope you will not think it inappropriate if I, speaking as one new graduate to others, congratulate them most heartily upon their achievements. I do this with the greater vigour because they had to earn their degrees, and I did not. For you, the new graduates, this is a day of joyfulness, a sense of satisfaction, even mild surprise that somehow all the work was accomplished and the high standard demanded by the university reached. But of course today's ceremony does not mark the end of our musical education. Rather, it marks at the most the end of the beginning. The poet says, "Adventure on, more wonders are in thee." I feel sure, as all your proud parents, families and supporters here today will feel equally sure, that over the years your prowess as musicians will bring pleasure not only to yourselves, but to countless others besides, who will be able to appreciate, thanks to your skills, the wonderful and mysterious power which music has to uplift, inspire, and console. I cannot help feeling, Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, how proud and perhaps surprised those who were responsible for the establishment of the Conservatorium 35 years ago must be. People of determination, they no doubt were and are. They had a vision of an institution which would bring to Brisbane the best teachers and students and would also provide a focal point for the musical activities of the community. That the Conservatorium has done, but on a scale which only the most hopeful could have imagined. It is now the largest music school in Australia and has high international reputation in performance and academic studies. I see with pleasure that overseas students are currently enrolled from China, France, Spain, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Great Britain. Therefore, you allow music to fulfill one of its most important, enduring, and distinctive functions. For whereas lack of a sophisticated command of a particular language is a common barrier to a study at a high level in almost every academic subject, music has its own language and stretches readily across man-made frontiers. Let me also express my deep pleasure at being again in Queensland. I was last here during Expo 88, and already it is evident to me that many momentous changes have taken place in that brief span. I'm looking forward to inspecting the work which is underway on the former Expo site and to hearing more about the South Bank project. That imaginative development will, I'm sure, make Brisbane even better known all over the world. Of course, Brisbane has been a long and familiar name to those who follow cricket. The miracles of modern communication mean that countless people in England now have an image of the city firmly imprinted upon their minds. I almost said, and sometimes painfully than well here, since English teams have sometimes fared less painfully than well. Yours is now a very large city. In Brisbane and nearby live some 3 million people, smiled upon by what seems to the English visitor almost perpetual sunshine, and blessed by that wonderful desire of spaciousness, freedom and variety which are the special hallmarks of Australia. I realize that countless people have taken immense pains over the arrangements for my visits to Ipswich, Gladstone, Maryborough, Hervey Bay, the Fraser Island National Park, the Torres Straits, Mackay, Cairns, and Brisbane itself. To them all I express heartfelt thanks. It will be a pleasure to me to meet many Queenslanders as I continue my travels around this vast state, into which the whole of the United Kingdom would fit 7 times, and England 10 or 11 times. If I mention that the population of England is over 43 million, you will see what I mean when I say that the sense of distance and boundlessness strikes immediately at the sensibilities of an English visitor. In Australia, you have in recent years been following a policy of amalgamations and concentration in the realm of higher education. These can be controversial subjects into which it is not my business to enter. I hope it will not be a matter of controversy to say that Griffith University gains in the Conservatorium a music college of high distinction, as the Conservatorium gains by becoming part of one of the fastest growing and most forward-looking institutions in Australia's higher education. Everyone knows how many distinguished artists Australia has given the world, and even in its relatively short history, the Conservatorium of Music has added to that store of talent. Geoffrey Black, Piers Lane, Lisa Garstein, Claire Gormley, Brett Dean, and Jason Redman are some of the outstanding graduates of the Conservatorium now making their mark as performers. To be associated as patron with such a college is a source of deep satisfaction to me, Mr. Chancellor, as is the decision of the Council of Griffith University to confer on me the degree of Doctor of the University. I was told that I should deliver an occasional address, and I remember reading once the advice that an occasional column in a newspaper should have a good beginning, a good end, and as little as possible in between. Will you allow me, however, to say how touched I have been, as any visitor from Britain must be, by the expressions of loyalty and affection towards the Queen, which I have already heard. Her Majesty's interest in Australia, and indeed in every part of the Commonwealth, is never failing. Perhaps enthusiasm for Commonwealth connections has not been the most fashionable of feelings in recent times. All the same, I believe those connections to be of the utmost value, and nowhere more so than in our higher education. The young people of today are living in a world of many perils, but also of wonderful opportunities and excitement. For the first time in many years, a spirit of hopefulness has started to pervade international affairs. Intelligent and lively people have greater opportunities than ever before to make their own contacts and friendships the world over. It has been my good fortune as Chancellor of the University of Leeds for the last 25 years to attend countless gatherings in many Commonwealth countries. Invariably, I have found a strong desire to sustain old connections and build new ones. That is an activity which calls for thoughtfulness and exertion. My doctorate from Griffith University will always be a source of great pride to me, and the more so because I sense that the university will be mindful not only of its duty to the people of Queensland and of Australia, but also of these wider connections, and will thus play a leading part in upholding that wider commonwealth of learning.
I now call on the chairperson of the Advisory Council of the Queensland Conservatorium of Music to propose a vote of thanks to the guest speaker, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent.
Your Royal Highness, Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen. It's 4 years since Your Royal Highness accepted the position of patron of the Conservatorium. We were then an independent institution. A lot of water has flowed under the bridge since then, and we are a college of the university. But as you can see, and I trust here, we are thriving, and we are delighted that you've seen fit to continue as our patron within the university. You bring to that position a sympathy for, a love and understanding of music gained from both sides of the orchestra, in that not only are you a keen and valued member of the London Bach Choir, but also you are proficient on the clarinet, violin, pipe organ and piano. As you know, we are presently engaged in our quest for a new central city location. We trust and hope that our endeavours in that regard will shortly come to fruition, because it's a matter of vital importance to our continued existence as a performance-oriented institution, and may I also say to the people of Brisbane, in any other location we could not continue to provide the number and variety of concerts and operas that we presently provide to the public at minimal cost. We are particularly honoured that you accepted the Conservatorium's invitation to come to Australia in order to confer degrees upon our graduates both here tonight and in Mackay on Sunday. Your Royal Highness, on behalf of the Conservatorium and the University, I thank you for the honour you've bestowed both by your informal visit to the Conservatorium this afternoon and by your presence here tonight on our graduates for 1991.
Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the traditional Gaudeamus Igitur. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain standing while the official party departs? Thank you.